My name is Jaden Ukonu. I'm representing Braeswood Church. My verses are John chapter 15, verses 4 and 5. And I'll be starting right now. Before we talk about the question of who am I have another question. What is this? It's my phone. But let's get more specific. What can I do with it? It's useful, a necessity, your lifeline, and its abilities like sending texts, taking pictures, checking TikTok, playing games, and watching YouTube. It's a pretty incredible thing, isn't it? A few months ago, I was out running errands with my mom, and I noticed that my phone was about to die, just as I was about to reach the next door. And in a few moments, it was dead. And in that moment, I realized that I couldn't communicate with any friends or family, and if I was getting something for them. I had lost all communication with social media and everyone else. But all of this happening to me made me a little bit mad, but it also made me realize that how dependent we can become on our smartphones. Like we just described, this phone is capable of some pretty incredible things, but when its battery is drained, it's no longer the helpful, effective, essential tool most of us have come to depend on. If we're honest, we probably had a moment or two, maybe even this week, where we felt a little bit like this dead phone. Sure, we're capable of being alert, focused, kind, talkative, and generous, but we're just so drained. Maybe it's because we're exhausted, maybe it's because we're busy, maybe it's because we're just going through a difficult season. Whatever the reason, sometimes life just leaves us feeling drained. This matters because when we're drained, we can't be everything we're made to be. See, me, I don't know what happens to you when you feel drained. Maybe you just want to sleep, maybe you're just busy, maybe you just want to cry and lash out. When we're drained, the best parts of us get overtaken by the worst parts of us. When we're drained, we're not the best versions of ourselves. Jesus actually has something to say about this. Not about phones, of course, but about what it means to be drained, to fail to be everything we were made to be, and how to get connected to a greater source of power. Maybe if Jesus were here with us now, he'd use the smartphone as an illustration, or, more likely, he'd come up with something way better. But 2,000 years ago, he used an illustration he knew his audience would understand. A vine, a branch, and some fruit. John chapter 15, verses 4 and 5 says, "Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing." You see, a grapevine's purpose is to grow fruit. The vine is a strong, sturdy core of the plant that Jesus says is his. The branch is connected to the vine that Jesus says you or me, his followers. And the fruit that grows on that branch, according to scriptures, is the result of God's work in our lives. And that fruit is connected with our identities. When you think about your identity, when you try to answer the question, who am I? You probably think about your personalities, your abilities, your interests, and your passions. Because you were created by God, you were created to know God. Not only were you created to know God, but you were also created to bear fruit. That being said, there should be evidence that you are connected with God. Your life should start to change. You should start to look more like Jesus, because knowing and becoming like Jesus is part of who you were created to be. It's part of your identity. It's what your Creator has had planned for you all along. But if you want everything your Creator has for you, you've got to stay connected to him. Just like this phone and just like that branch. It's only when you're connected to a greater source of power, of life, and of strength that you'll become everything you were created to be. Think of it this way. Connecting with your Creator connects what was disconnected. Sometimes we feel drained physically or emotionally, and sometimes we even feel drained spiritually. Remember what we said earlier. When you're drained, you aren't at your best. When you're drained, you're not able to be everything you were created to be. So this week, I want you to pay attention to your body, your mind, and your spirit. Pay attention to the times you feel drained. Maybe you find yourself snapping at your parents, or being less generous or patient than you usually would be. Then when you're feeling drained, just pause, take a break, and then go connect with your Creator. Talk to him, read his word, ask him to fill you up, to give you new power, life, and strength. And ask him to help you bear fruit so you can look more like Jesus, his son. If you really want to discover everything God created you to be, stay connected with him. Don't wait until you're desperate. Connect with him every day, all day long. Stay connected. Thank you.